Hi, this is Dawon Jiayin, Jiwoon from 9B, and today we are going to talk about the Russian Revolution. This is our contents. Firstly, what is Russian Revolution? Second, what caused the Russian Revolution? Third, notable figures of the Russian Revolution. And fourth, result of Russian Revolution. And lastly, our evaluation for the Russian Revolution. What is Russian Revolution? Russian Revolution started in 1917 and it divided into two main revolutions, February Revolution and October Revolution. Before the Russian Revolution, Russia was a despotic state under Romanov rule. The meaning of despotism is that all power is held by the Tsar, who is a ruler of the country. So, he was the last Tsar of Russia under Romanov rule, and his name is Nicholas II. His poor handling of Bloody Sunday and Russia's role in World War I led to his abdication. Bloody Sunday happened in 1905 by workers and peasants because of low wages and the exploitation of labor. However, the Tsar used armed suppression and many people died. Then, this uprising of peasants spread throughout the country. Also, at that moment, the idea of socialism was getting popular, and the Socialist political party formed in 1898. It was divided into two different parties, Bolsheviks and Mensheviks. Bolsheviks pursued a radical Marxist faction, and Mensheviks is more like Marxist Russian Social Democratic Party. Anyway, Tsar decided to participate in World War I, and Russia gets enormous damage from World War I. People were hungry because of the extreme food shortage, and a lot of people died in the World War I. Then, 1917, which is February 25 on Old Russian calendar, February Revolution happened. It was the first opposition started in Petrograd, which was the capital of Imperial Russia. It was similar to Bloody Sunday, but this time, workers, peasants, and soldiers made council called Soviet. Then, the House of Romanov was destroyed, and the provisional government established in 1917. Now, Russia was left in provisional government's power after Tsar's abdication. It means Mensheviks took power in Russia. However, after the revolution, things did not change, and they were still participating in World War I. Therefore, the October Revolution happened again in 1917 November. The October Revolution is also known as Bolsheviks Revolution. The reason was same as before. As a result, Lenin and Bolsheviks took power in Russia. Bolsheviks tried to change things to maintain their power. Firstly, they did a Treaty of Brest-Litovsk with Germany. It is a peace treaty signed on March 3, 1918 between the new Bolshevik government of Russia and the Central Powers. It ended Russia's participation in World War I. In addition, the treaty was not fair because Germany demanded Russia's territory. However, the treaty fell through after Germany lost at World War I. Finally, the Soviet Union was established. This is our timeline for Russian Revolution. Firstly, Bloody Sunday, and 1914, World War I, 1917 March, February Revolution, 1917 Provisional Government established, 1917 November, October Revolution happened, 1918 Treaty of Brest-Litovsk, 1948 finally Soviet Union established. Causes of Russian Revolution. We can see this as long-term and short-term causes. For the long term, we can think about economic situation before the war and frustration of middle classes, peasants, and working classes. Middle classes have lack of political power and rights. Peasants have not enough land, so they have land hunger and conscription. And for the working class, they are having low wages than they are working, and appalling living condition was a serious problem for them. For the short term, we can think about the damage of war and food shortages and inflation.
Third, I'll tell you about notable figures and primary source analysis of the Russian Revolution. I'll tell you about two notable figures first. One of them is Nicholas II of Russia. He crowded Tsar in Moscow on May 26, 1896. He created the fundamental rules which maintained his autocratic powers. He was also continuing despotic government that made the people's life difficult. He was the last absurd king. Next person that I will tell you is Vladimir Lenin. He was a leader of the Russian and international labor movements. Also, he was a founder of the Russian Communist Party and the Soviet Union. He was the world's first socialist state was born as the leader. He took the leadership position among the Marxists and promoted Marxism to the workers. Next, I'll tell you about primary source analysis. This is the New York Times that published at that time. This article is about the emperor who made the people and the military the most difficult at that time was abdicated. Here is the picture of the Tsar. As mentioned above, the result of the February Revolution was the abdication of Nicholas II. Now I'll explain social change after the Russian Revolution. I'll explain it by dividing into domestic and foreign countries. In Russia, first, the working class has emerged as the first rule in history. Second, strengthened the status of the international working class. Third, it has become an active source of power for all ethnic units of the working class. And in international, the Russian Revolution affects for German Revolution and Hungary Revolution. Second, it affects for France, Japan, Indonesia, and China to organize the communists. Third, the Mexican Revolution developed it into a nationalist revolution with socialist character.
For political changes, after the February Revolution, House of Romanov destroyed and Nicholas II abdicated from the crown. And that means it is end of the empire and it was formation of the republic. Also, establishment of dual power between the provisional government and the Petrograd Soviet. And also the provisional government established. And moreover, provisional government is power of Mensheviks. And after the October Revolution, it was the end of the provisional government and Russian Republic and dual power. And Lenin and Bolsheviks took a power and they create the Soviet Union. So Soviet Union was established after the October Revolution. For the international relation changes, main changes was Treaty of Brest-Litovsk. It was peace treaty signed on March 3rd, 1918 between the new Bolshevik government of Russia and the Central Powers. That ended Russia's participation in World War I.
I am going to be talking about our evaluation for the Russian Revolution. The Russian Revolution took place in 1917 when the peasants and working class people of Russia revolt against the government of Tsar Nicholas II. Before the revolution, Russia was ruled by a powerful merchant called the Tsar. The Tsar had total control of Russia. He commanded the army, owned much of the land, and even controlled the church. During the period of time before Russia Revolution, life for the working class people and the peasants was very difficult. They worked for little pay, often went without food, and was exposed to dangerous working conditions. The aristocrat people class treated the peasants like slaves, giving them few rights under the law and treating them almost like animals. In 1914, World War I began, and Russia was at war with Germany. A huge Russian army was formed by forcing working class and peasants men to join. Although the Russian army had lots of people, the soldiers were not equipped or trained to fight. Many of them were sent into battles without shoes, food, and even weapons. Over the next 3 years, around 2 million people were killed in battle and around 5 million were wounded. The Russian people blamed Tsar for entering the war and getting so many people killed. The revolution began when a number of workers decided to strike. Many of the workers got together during strike to discuss politicals. They began to revolt. Tsar Nicholas II ordered the army to suppress the revolt. However, many of the soldiers refused to fire on the Russian people, and the army began to manipulate against the Tsar. The Tsar was forced to give up his throne and had a new government took place. The government was run by two political parties, the Petrograd representing the workers and soldiers, and the Prussia government, the traditional government without the Tsar. One of the main functions of Petrograd was a group called Bolsheviks. They were led by Vladimir Lenin and began to believe that the new Russian government should be a Marxist government. In October of 1917, Lenin took full control of the government. Russia became the first communist country in the world. The result of the Russian Revolution. After the Russian Revolution, Russia exited World War I by signing a peace treaty with Germany called the Treaty of Brest-Litovsk. The new government took control of all industrial and moved the Russian economy from a rural one to an industrial one. It also seized farmlands from landholders and distributed among the peasants. Women were given equal rights to those of men, and religion was banned from many aspects of society.
This is our information MLA citations. And this is for the image. Thank you for listening.